Hi everyone, welcome to this video today where we are looking at shifting your inner narrative. So do you have an internal dialogue that goes round and round, these mind loops? Is it negative? Is it positive? Do you notice that? How does that influence you? And how does that get in the way of what you're trying to do, whether that is focus on work or make some changes and shifts in your family or your life? So I'm going to have a bit of a deep dive into that and why that's important. So the idea is that we all have this inner dialogue, inner voice, inner critic. It's called different things, but basically those internal thoughts that we have going around our heads. And sometimes we're aware of them and sometimes we're not. And in other videos, I've taught how to become more aware of what is happening in your mind and then how to notice whether or not those thoughts are mostly positive, negative, punitive, inner critic. And so we all have that as a process. And sometimes we have a lot going on in our minds. But if you practice mindfulness and meditation, sometimes we can slow that down and even get to a stage where we have moments where not much is going on in our awareness. So I've just got planes going over at the top every 4 minutes. And so I'm having to pause this at times because it's quite noisy. So, um, yes, we all have this inner dialogue. And if you've been repeating the same limited thoughts or narratives, it's time for a powerful rewrite. So, in some of the other videos, I look at how you rewrite your story, change your narrative. So, do check those out. But if you've been repeating the same limited thoughts or narratives, right, then the magician, which is one of the cards in the tarot, symbolizes your ability to shape your life through your belief, thought, and action. So let's explore how your internal language influences your outer world. If your story has been one of fear or unworthiness, then this is your invitation to shift that script. So it's not always something that can be done overnight, just like that, where you wake up and all of that narrative is cleared. We need to be in the process of becoming more mindful about what's going through our minds, what's happening, and then what we do with that information. And then we can get to a point of, okay, I'm not going to listen to those thoughts anymore. They're not helpful. Or sometimes we get a reoccurring thought because it's something that we want to do and it's a reminder. So it's sifting through what is actually happening to us on an internal level. So your internal language influences your world. So if you have a difficult situation at work, for example, and you get sent an email, you can be triggered to be thinking all sorts of negative ideas about what's going on about that situation. They're doing it like this, they think I'm this is what's going on. You can have that kind of idea going on through your mind. Or you can, which happened to me last year, I'm putting the rubbish out, and I normally chat to one of the neighbours quite a lot. And then on the day that I didn't have my glasses or contact lens in, I see the neighbour, but I can't tell whether or not they're looking over at me and smiling. And now I come in the house and I think, I wonder if they think I'm being rude, because sometimes that's what happens, isn't it? What's up with her? She was all right yesterday, and now she's not saying anything and not talking to us. So we can create these inner narratives about and conversations that we have with people in our lives, our families, things that are going on at work. And so it's really good to be mindful of that and check out whether or not that's true, or whether or not it's just your old fears and ideas about you. Because when you're in a better feeling state, you can actually notice that your thoughts shift and the way that you think about things shifts. So, it's important to catch and reframe. So you can spend the day just noticing what your inner dialogue is doing. And every time you catch a negative or self critical thought, pause and reframe it. So, first, you have to notice it. So, you could spend the day just noticing, what am I thinking? What's going through my mind? Is it a negative or is it a positive thought? Is it useful or is it part of the old script? You're no good at this. Why are you going for that job? Um, you're going to be no good doing that presentation. People aren't going to turn up. All that kind of stuff that goes through your mind. And that happens to us all the time, say, like in the working environment. So you have to notice it first and then catch yourself what you're thinking. And then is it self-critical? Is it part of that old critical voice? And then reframe it. So, for example, I always mess things up if you say that. I'm learning and growing every day is something that you could say instead. So if you notice yourself saying that, it's not easy to just go, right, I'm not going to think that anymore. It's, okay, I'm learning and growing each day. Oh, I can't do that. No, I'm getting better and better at that. I was never any good at that. I'm getting better at understanding and the knowledge, or I can't do essays. I can't do college or school. Why don't I go and try and dip my toe in and get some support and see how I could do it? There's a subject you're really interested in. I can't do that. I've got no time. Okay. How much time have you actually got in the day, and how can you open up some of that time? And does something else need to go or shift? So these, if we've got an internal dialogue, we can learn to shift the narrative rather than getting hooked into it and believing it. Because if you have that negative thought about yourself, oh, you always mess things up, or oh, I've got to stand in front of people, they're going to think that I'm no good, or can't do presentations, then your stress levels are activated, your cortisol, adrenaline, everything's activated, and now you feel stressed. But if you say, I'm learning and growing each day, that's more self compassion and acceptance that all of us are learning and growing every day. So now you can have some calm and some reverence and grace for yourself. So the thoughts activate the feelings. And so, of course, the feelings and the thoughts are going to have an impact on how your day goes. And that's how it produces a day. So once again, another plane. Okay, so the book suggestion for this, and you can look up at all sorts of books related to this topic about shifting that inner narrative, is What Happened to You. It's by Dr. Bruce Perry. He's amazing. And it explores how early experiences shape our inner narratives and responses. So, through compassion and neuroscience, it invites us to shift from asking, what's wrong with me, to what happened to me, empowering us to reclaim and rewrite our story. So I've done a video on how to rewrite our story. So watch that if you haven't watched that after this one. And then the song is Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. So the idea is to consider what those thoughts are, what stories that you have, where did they originate? And like in the other video, but this is about what are you actually telling yourself, what are you saying about yourself every day. So get a pen and paper out, and or even in your notes section of your phone, every time you have a thought, notice what that thought is, write that down, and then ask yourself, what am I thinking? Is it positive or is it negative? Is that story true? Is it familiar? Are those statements true? Where did that come from? I'm no good at I'm no good at learning. Was that something that you decided at 8 or 15 years old? I can't make friends. Is that because you struggled because you were shy at school? Um, I can't do that. I'm scared of heights. I was scared of heights, and I went to see a hypnotherapist, and I had a few sessions with him, and then I did a trip around the Amalfi Coast. I was still a little bit stressed, but I wasn't really dreading the sort of stress that you get when you've got a fear of heights. And then what new things could you say to yourself instead? So get a piece of paper and write down a list on the left-hand side, the kind of thoughts you have in, and write the opposite. And something that you can say like, I'm becoming more and more aware. I'm getting stronger and stronger each day. That's process language, like I'm becoming, I'm getting better at. And then just focus on that and do that for a week and see what you notice and what you can start to shift. And then how, if you do it in the morning and you catch your thoughts, how your whole day can change. And you say, okay, I don't know if what I think they're saying about me is true, so I'm going to assume the positive. Unless someone tells me different, I'm going to assume that it's all going well and it's great. So hopefully you liked this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, or send me an email, or if you want to do some work with me, sign up to my program. The link is below, and I look forward to hearing more from you in the comments or via some other method.